you take two of the most powerful air rifles on the planet and put them head to head. One is a beastly semi-automatic hammer that changed the big bore world forever. The other is a precision-built sharpshooter engineered for surgical accuracy and raw efficiency. Today, you're about to discover which Titan truly reigns supreme in the world of big-bore air guns. Stay with me, because what you're about to hear might challenge everything you thought you knew about power, precision, and true air-driven firepower. Big-bore air rifles have evolved from niche hunting tools into legitimate, heavy-hitting instruments capable of taking down large game with silent, pneumatic force. And at the center of this evolution stand two icons, the Umarex Hammer .510A, legend born from innovation and brute force, and the AirForce Texan LSS. 510A, masterpiece of precision engineering and efficiency. In this video, we'll explore their origins, how each one works, their real-world power, their accuracy, their field performance, and ultimately which rifle is truly worthy of being called the king of big bore PCP. And trust me, the differences between them are far greater and far more dramatic than most shooters realize. Let's begin with what separates these two giants at their very core. The Umarex Hammer is built with the single purpose: deliver overwhelming, bone-crushing power through a semi-automatic air-driven system unlike anything else in the commercial PCP world. No springs, no electronics, just pure pneumatic aggression. Meanwhile, the AirForce Texan LSS follows a completely different doctrine. It abandons semi-auto fire, it abandons magazine systems, and instead, it dedicates every cubic inch of its carbon fiber reservoir, its long precision barrel, and its efficient high-flow valve to achieving one thing: the most accurate, air-efficient, long-range shot a big bore can possibly deliver. Two rifles, one focused on sheer destructive force, the other on perfect ballistic harmony. And here is where everything begins to diverge. Let's talk about the question everyone asks first: which one hits harder? And the answer is closer than you think. The Umarex Hammer unleashes energy levels that can rise well above 700 foot-pounds, using heavy projectiles of around 350 grains, traveling at velocities reaching the mid-700s. In the world of mass-produced PCPs, that was revolutionary, a benchmark that for years, no other factory rifle could touch. But the Texan LSS has an answer of its own. With its carbon fiber reservoir filled to roughly 4,500 pounds per square inch, and a precision barrel stretching nearly 30 inches, it pushes medium-weight slug designs into the high 800, sometimes even cracking past 900 feet per second. The result? The Texan LSS consistently generates energy in the high 600s to low 700s, putting it toe-to-toe with the hammer, but through a completely different philosophy. Fewer shots, but each one optimized, efficient, and devastating. So which one is more powerful? Surprisingly, they stand nearly equal. But how they deliver that power is a whole different story. This is where the contrast becomes dramatic. The Umarex Hammer gives you multiple full power shots roughly 8 before power begins to drop noticeably. And for a rifle capable of more than 700 foot-pounds, that's astonishing. Why? Because its massive air reservoir, measuring roughly 680 cubic centimeters, is designed for the high-volume, high-pressure bursts needed for its semi-automatic pneumatic cycling. But AirForce Texan LSS is a different animal. It delivers only 2 or 3 full power shots from its carbon fiber bottle before the pressure falls out of its optimal range. At first glance, this seems like a weakness until you realize something. Each of those 2 or 3 shots is nearly identical. Same sound, same recoil, same point of impact, same power curve. This rifle is not designed for quantity. It's designed for the hunter who needs that one perfect ethical shot. Now, here is where everything changes. If power is a tie, accuracy is the category that separates these two rifles into different galaxies. The Umarex Hammer, while surprisingly accurate for a semi-auto delivering this kind of power, produces groups at 50 yards that range between roughly 1 3/4 inches to 2.5 inches. Good, even impressive for what it is. But the Texan LSS, With the right ammunition, shooters consistently report 1-inch to 1.5-inch groups at the same distance, and at 100 yards, it still maintains groups around 2.5 inches. For a big bore PCP firing massive slugs, that is nothing short of extraordinary. Why? Because the Texan LSS eliminates movement. No semi-auto system, no magazine rotation, no internal cycling. Just pure, stable, predictable mechanics. Raw numbers are fascinating, but what truly matters is how these rifles perform when the sun is setting, the wind is shifting, and a 200-pound bore steps into view. This is where both rifles have earned reputations that border on legendary. Let's start with the Umarex Hammer. Hunters describe it as a freight train of air-powered destruction. Its heavy slugs soften in the 350-grain randed transfer energy with shocking immediacy. Reports show clean takedowns on deer, feral hogs, and even elk-sized animals at ethical distances, typically under 60 yards. Because of its semi-automatic cycling, follow-up shots are fast, not firearm fast, but far faster than any manual PCP in its class. For hunters who may encounter moving targets, thick brush, or situations where a second shot matters, this feature is priceless. But the AirForce Texan LSS plays a different game entirely. Here, every shot is a deliberate, calculated strike. Hunters choose it for longer distance engagement, 70, 80, even close to 100 yards, where precision is non-negotiable. When the Texan LSS fires, it sends its slug with almost surgical consistency, turning shot placement into its greatest weapon. In the field, this means one undeniable truth. The hammer dominates at closer, dynamic ranges, while the Texan LSS rules the longer, controlled distances. Now, let's talk about the human side of shooting these giants, what they feel like, how they handle, and what it takes to actually tame them. The Umarex Hammer is heavy, just over 10 pounds. That weight, combined with its massive air system, helps absorb recoil. But don't be fooled when it fires. You feel a deep pneumatic punch. It isn't uncomfortable, but it reminds you that you're shooting something with power rivaling small centerfire firearms. The AirForce Texan LSS, on the other hand, is dramatically lighter, under 8 pounds, which makes it easier to carry in the field. But with less weight comes more perceived recoil. It's snappier, more direct, and demands solid shooting fundamentals. Shooters used to precision rifles often find the Texan familiar, while casual hunters may prefer the hammer's steadier mass. Handling also differs. The hammer is front-heavy, making it ideal for supported shooting. The Texan LSS feels long and athletic, built for tripod and prone positions where its balance shines. Two very different shooting experiences, both rewarding, but tailored to completely different styles of hunters. Let's address what many consider one of the most important factors: reliability. Raw power means nothing if a rifle fails you when it matters most. The Umarex Hammer, especially in its early production years, faced several reliability concerns. Some shooters reported air leaks, particularly around the fill valve. Others experienced the magazine alignment issues, usually when using improperly sized slugs. And because the hammer is now discontinued, replacement parts are growing harder to find. Does that mean it's unreliable? Not exactly. Shooters who maintain it properly, lubricate it with the recommended silicone chamber oils, and use quality ammunition, tend to report stable, dependable performance. But it's a rifle that demands respect and careful upkeep. The AirForce Texan LSS takes the opposite path. Its single-shot design removes almost every mechanical element that could fail. No magazine, no auto-indexing, no pneumatic cycling, just a valve, a hammer, and a barrel. Simple, clean, reliable. Its main limitation? Air efficiency, because it runs at extreme pressure. Only a small window, typically between roughly 3,200 and 3,800 psi, produces near perfect consistency. Outside that window, shot performance drops fast. So what does this mean for the hunter? The hammer demands maintenance and parts availability. The Texan demands precision air management. Choose your challenge. Field use isn't just about power, it's about how long you can carry the rifle, how fast you can aim it, and how comfortable you feel. After miles of hiking, the hammer's weight can be a blessing or a curse. Its nearly 11-pound frame stabilizes heavy shots and absorbs recoil. But after a long day in the woods, you'll absolutely feel it. It's best suited for blinds, fixed positions, or short hunts. The Texan LSS flips the script. At barely under 8 pounds, it feels agile, almost nimble. Hunters who stalk, trek, or cover long distances love this rifle. But that lightweight frame means every movement, every breath shows up in the scope. It rewards disciplined shooters and punishes sloppy form. Once again, the rifles reflect their identities. The Hammer, a power-focused tank. The Texan LSS, a precision-focused instrument. Let's talk about what truly unlocks the performance of each rifle. Ammunition. Big bore PCPs 5 or die by slug selection, and these two rifles have very different appetites. The Umarex Hammer prefers medium to heavy slugs between roughly 300 and 350 grains. Lighter projectiles tend to destabilize. Heavier ones bleed too much velocity. Its sweet spot lies in pure lead. Soft-bodied slugs, especially those around 0.505 inches. With these loads, stability and terminal effect reach their peak. The AirForce Texan LSS enjoys a broader diet. It performs exceptionally with slugs between roughly 260 and 275 grains, especially those engineered for high ballistic efficiency. Because of its longer barrel and higher velocity ceiling, it can stabilize lighter, aerodynamic projectiles far more effectively than the Hammer. In short, the Hammer relies on mass, the Texan relies on speed and aerodynamics. By now, you've seen that these rifles don't just belong to different worlds. So let's make it simple. Choose the Umarex Hammer if you want overwhelming stopping power at close to moderate distances, fast follow-up shots, and the raw thrill of firing a semi-automatic beast of air-driven engineering. Choose the AirForce Texan LSS if you value long-range precision, lighter field carry, elite consistency, and a rifle built around purpose-driven engineering rather than brute force. Neither rifle is better. They are simply built for different hunters, different shooting philosophies, and different definitions of excellence. At the end of this journey, one truth becomes clear. These rifles were never meant to replace each other, they were meant to define different sides of the big bore universe. The Umarex Hammer .510 stands as a monument to brute force semi-automatic titan that shattered expectations and proved that air power could rival the punch of traditional firearms. It is raw, it is unapologetic, and when it speaks, even the toughest game listens. The AirForce Texan LSS, in contrast, is the silent master. Lean, precise, efficient, a rifle built not merely to hit hard, but to hit true. Every shot is a statement of engineering discipline, where accuracy becomes a form of power in itself. Two legends, two philosophies, one unforgettable matchup. And here's the beauty of it all. Whether you choose the unstoppable force or the surgical blade, both rifles represent the very frontier of Kopfen vor top Antritt. They push boundaries, they inspire innovation, and above all, they remind us why we fell in love with airguns in the first place. Because power is exciting, precision is addictive, but passion is what keeps us pulling that trigger, shot after shot. If you enjoyed this deep dive into two giants of the airgun world, make sure to subscribe, leave a comment telling me which rifle you would trust in the field, and check out the next video where we break down the most underrated big bore platforms of the decade. Thanks for watching, and remember, in the world of air rifles, the journey is just as thrilling as the shot itself.